Hey, welcome back to KillerCast. We're your hosts, Cody.
And Dakota.
And today, I know I have shit-talked horror comedies in the past.
A lot, in fact.
Yeah. But today we're going to be talking about one that I actually do like, and I hold it very close to my heart, and that would be the great film that is Killer Klowns From Outer Space.
KKFOS, baby. Who doesn't love this movie?
I mean...
You know who doesn't? My dad.
He doesn't like this movie?
Yeah, he can watch John Wick 18 times, but he thinks this movie's stupid.
Why?
I don't know. I watched it with him one day. My grandpa loves this movie, actually, Ed. And, we were having a good time watching it, and my dad's like, I think I lost brain cells from watching these clowns. And I'm like, bro, you've seen every Steven Seagal movie. I don't want to hear your lip.
Well, this movie, I will say, I don't think it's for a specific audience. This movie is enjoyable to everyone, except for your dad, apparently.
You have to go into, this is one of those horror movies that you have to go into just to have fun.
Yeah.
You don't need to expect anything out of it. You're just having a good time. That's all it is.
This is not a horror movie that's got good story like we've talked about in our previous episodes.
Hell no. Like, the story's not good, but it's so much fun that it makes up for what it lacks.
Exactly. And it's a very interesting concept for what it is. I mean, mixing something like aliens and with clowns, you never would have thought of that. And the concept of that I'll get into later, what it was birthed from, is actually pretty interesting. But anyway, this movie came out actually in the summer of 1988. And it was the love child of the Kyoto, I think is how you pronounce their name.
Kyoto brothers.
Yeah. There's three of them, and their names are Edward, Charles, and Stephen. Now, these three guys, they've worked on movies in the past, one of which was Critters, which is a movie I really like because of how outlandish it is. And all of them are also practical effects artists, so they made a lot of masks, and they actually designed, from what I've read, the clowns completely. Like, they designed them from the top down. And I think that's actually very interesting because having three of them, especially family, that work so closely together on a concept, it was obviously made with love.
Yeah, it's like the Jonas Brothers. Like, you got three brothers doing something perfect.
I mean, I guess, yeah. The cast for this movie, unlike, let's say, like our episode in Freaky.
Yeah, before we jump to the cast, you mentioned that it came out in 1988.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that year in horror. So I got a quick recap for you.
Okay.
Let me just name out, if you don't realize this, 1988 is arguably, like, me looking at this list, like, holy crap, it's a big year for horror. Like, you're going to be stunned how much came out.
Okay.
So let me just start from the top. Child's Play.
Oh, wow.
Hellraiser 2.
Okay.
Hellbound. Pumpkinhead. Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Halloween 4, Phantasm 2, Night of the Demons, Maniac Cop, The Blob, Waxwork, Return of the Living Dead Part 2, Fright Night Part 2, Sleepaway Camp 2, American Gothic, The Howling 4, Slugs, Pulse, They Live, Cheerleader Camp. Like, this list keeps Critters 2.
Oh, wow.
Deadly Dreams, like, crazy year.
I didn't realiise that.
Those Hot Damn Brain Damage. We just talked about that earlier.
Yeah, those are all pretty iconic. And, Killer Klowns, I think, out of all of those that you listed, probably stands out the most.
Yeah, because, like, almost all of those I mentioned are all sequels. Besides, like, Pumpkinhead and Child's Play. Yeah. So, it was one of the unique, like, original ideas that came out that year.
Yeah, and again, the concept is just, like, out there.
Yeah.
And that's interesting too, because even though it was such a great year for horror, you would think that the general audience would be like, oh, another horror movie. But this movie actually performed really well at the box office. I think it had a budget of like 1.8 million or something like that. It was nothing even for the time in terms of budget.
Yeah.
And it made a ton of money in regards to like ratio wise, percentage wise, because it made, I want to say it was like 46 million at the box office.
It's impressive, especially for the 80s.
Exactly. And the movie has gone on to receive a very well-deserved cult following.
Oh, I would say, like, especially since it got put on Netflix. But, like, the past, like, 5 or 6 years, like, it has blown up like crazy.
I'm pretty sure the Juggalo craze kind of.
That helped it, yeah. But I mean,
yeah.
there's so much Killer Clown stuff now. Like you see T-shirts and there's Funko Pops now.
I mean, I've got some toys over there in my showcase of.
But those
of a couple
boys
of them.
are what they come out in like 2005. They're
Yeah,
expensive.
and that goes to show, a movie that come out in '88
That's
still
like
getting
nice
figures
yeah.
in today's time, and there's still people you could get on Etsy, you can get on eBay, you can get on any type of art, a place where people would sell art.
Literally
and you can find
had
props.
yeah. So there's all kinds of art and stuff. But I had a Killer Clown shirt on the other day when we filmed a different episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's very prevalent in pop culture. And Halloween Horror Nights had a whole maze to it last year. Mm-hmm. Like we're too far from Florida to justify going.
Yeah.
Which I mean, but you can go watch people in the maze walk through. It's amazing, like the recreation they did, like that Universal put into it. And I think the Kyoto brothers had a lot to do with it. They did a lot of the set designs and stuff for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, very prevalent.
Mm-hmm. And going back to what I was saying about the cast is not like most 80s movies.
Oh, it's not anything special.
It's not anything special. They could just get some bum off the street to play a lot of the characters in these movies back in the 80s. And, I can't say anything about these guys. I mean, obviously I did. I talked highly of the cast in Freaky, and that's why that movie did so well. But and that's why that episode took forever.
Those are known actors, and not only that, but like they've done stuff since. Like this cast is like, hey, you were in Killer Clowns. Like we'll see you at this D-list horror convention at a hotel, and that's about all you do.
Yeah,
and like people know them because they're fans of Killer Clowns, but people that aren't fans of Killer Clowns don't know them from anything else.
Exactly,
is the thing.
And I wish that. I mean, I think John Vernon, I think is his name. I can't really remember exactly what his name is. He played the cop in this movie. I think he went on to do a few things, but other than that, I don't think he went on to do a few things. He was in a lot of stuff prior.
Well, speaking of the cast, and I know we're basically saying they have no careers other than this, but it really sucks. There's a convention that's always near us in the same town we live in. It's called Scarefest. And this past year, if it hadn't been for COVID, literally everyone from this movie was there.
Yeah.
Almost the entire main cast, the Kyoto brothers, a bunch of the clown actors, they were having a Killer Clowns reunion and a Blair Witch reunion. And then it got canceled. Yeah. Which sucks because two of my favorite movies.
So long story short, I guess what we're trying to say is this movie is your typical 80s style horror comedy. But it's something more than that. The cast isn't that special. That's no big deal. The story, it's not that special. But the concept of it and just the lunacy of it is enough to make you go, what the fuck? I want to watch this.
Yeah, and it delivers. It's so much fun. And it never... I don't think there's any dry points in this movie. It starts and it just keeps going and going and going until the end. It never dips down like a lot of horror does.
Yeah, and they don't really explain much.
And they don't have to. It's fucking Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's all I need to know.
Exactly. And another thing that I will say about this movie is it's there is nothing that these clowns can't do, because it's I feel like they were what should this clown do in this scene? I don't know.
Punch this guy's head off.
He should punch this guy's head off. Well, what about in this other scene? Oh, he should drive an invisible motorcycle or something and pull over this other dude.
What about this scene? Pizza time.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. That's the long short of it.
Yeah, I feel like the production on this movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I feel like it was I haven't seen a ton of behind the scenes footage on it, but I feel like they had a good time when they made this.
What I will say about this movie is I really like the costume design.
It's some of my... There are some Scream Factory... Not Scream Factory. I'm thinking of Blu-rays. Trick or Treat Studios Killer Clown mask. Mm-hmm. They've got Shorty and Jumbo. I want them so bad. They're beautiful. Yeah. They're $100, but they're really nice.
That's not bad.
Yeah, they're always sold out. But
yeah. So the costumes for these guys, whenever it comes to their clothes, is very basic. Mm-hmm. They look like they're wearing rain boots painted a certain color, or maybe they're just made that color, and they're just wearing one-piece jumpsuits, and you can actually see the zipper in the back of them.
Oh yeah, these suits are hey, let's go to Party City and get some clown suits, and we'll take time on the mask. And
I was watching this the other day to refresh my memory for this episode. there's actually a lot of places in the movie where you can see their sleeve pull
You
down,
can see their arms and stuff.
and you can see the glove, and you
Yeah.
can see like actual human flesh, and I always like to see stuff like that in older movies because it's just like,
You made a poopsie.
yeah, like I don't know, it's just charming. The movie is charming, and movies that do that and don't, I mean, take themselves seriously. I guess you could say like a lot of people give it hell, but I think it is extremely charming and funny that there has been scenes in like Game of Thrones and in Mandalorian is the most recent one I can think of where they forget to take stuff out in post and you can see like camera crew in the background.
Oh, the camera guy in the background, or like Starbucks and Game of Thrones. Like, yeah, that's fun to see.
Yeah, it's just funny because I don't know. I guess it takes you out of the moment.
Yeah, and you have like, you think about it and you're like, oh, they made this episode of Game of Thrones and spent millions and millions of dollars, more money than I'll make in my entire life.
And these idiots couldn't take out a Starbucks.
Yeah, they had to leave that mocha frappe sitting there. Like, really?
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think of. Or Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is arguably the biggest franchise of all time. Mm-hmm. And they have a random background guy, like crew member, accidentally in. Did they edit that out?
I don't know. I haven't watched it
because
since.
I feel like they just put it in there on purpose.
Probably.
Jon Favreau was like, you know, it'd be some funny shit. Let's put this guy back here.
That'd be funny. Yeah. But back on track though, Killer Klowns. I feel like anybody who's watching this episode has probably seen Killer Klowns at one point, or at least has heard it in some point.
Or watched a recap or something.
Or watched a recap or something, because that's how prevalent this movie is. Unfortunately, it never did get a sequel. And that's what's unfortunate, because even though that this movie, I mean, even as a modern like remake or a sequel,
it could be really cool.
Yeah, 32 years later, it would be cool. And it would be cool to see that original cast return. They don't necessarily have to. Would I like to see it remade? Probably not. But if we see more Killer Klowns, I'd be happy.
I'll tell you what I think would be cool. So, you know, they're aliens, but the clowns is just like a form they take, right?
I mean, not necessarily. That's literally them.
Yeah. But I feel like if they made... Okay, not even like these specific characters, but I feel like the blank from Outer Space would be cool. Like a cool spin-off concept. Like Killer whatever from Outer Space.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
No. They could have made like Killer Minds from Space. Or, you know, something dumb.
So you're saying like make a spin-off?
Yeah, I feel like they could have so many spin-offs. Like so many different options. And, you know, now I'm sitting here, I can't think of it. But like Killer Football Players from Space. Or something stupid.
That's
like
funny.
I feel like they could have made a lot of direct-to-DVD movies.
Yeah.
Like one every year. Which I'm glad they didn't, because now that I'm thinking about it, that's dumb as hell.
And you know, that's probably why the movie has held up so well, is because it's not overly flooded in the market.
No, there's not a lot of... There's very iconic clown figures in horror, but there's not a ton of clown horror when you think about it.
I'm almost certain that Killer Klowns from Outer Space actually predates Stephen King's It.
Novel-wise?
I think
it
so.
It does miniseries.
Look it up. Look it up while I talk. Because I'm pretty sure that it does predate it. Not saying, you know, that Stephen King stole the idea or anything.
No, but completely different things.
Huh?
They're completely different things.
Oh, yeah. They're completely different. I mean, space clowns, to a degree.
I mean, yeah, multiverse, macroverse, whatever.
But this movie does a really good job with a couple of things.
No.
It does not predate it?
No. Stephen King's It released
comes out in the 70s.
Stores. No, September 15th, 1986.
So
Killer Klowns could have been in production, possibly.
Okay.
I doubt it, but potentially.
Maybe I'm thinking of the TV adaptation of it then, because...
Oh, the miniseries was in 1990. So, like, for sure, that was 2 years after.
Yeah. But anyway, a couple of things that this movie does well is it does well character design. That's something. It does good with costume design. That's a big thing. It does well with practical effects and props. There's a few...
Very, very well.
Practical effects?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And it does good with set design, too, whenever it comes to the spaceship.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. The set design in this movie is one of my favorite of all time. And not just on the ship. I love the town, the police office.
Oh, yeah.
I love the police department. I love everything about this. But the ship especially is beautiful.
It's believable as a small town community.
For sure. Yeah.
It very much so is. And if you haven't seen this movie, So to preface what we're saying is that. Oh, excuse me, I burped. To preface what we were saying, burp take, yeah. To preface what we were saying is everything that these clowns don't. I don't know how to say this properly. I don't know how to use my words properly. So the clowns have more than just the look of a clown. Like everything that they have is just goofy as shit. Everything that they have is circusy.
Their moveset, essentially.
Yeah, like so their little ray guns look like goofy toys.
Yeah.
Their spaceship, it actually burrows into the ground, so it looks like a giant top. But whenever it's burrowed in the ground, it looks like a big top circus tent. A lot of the stuff that they do is comedic like clowns do. Whenever Shorty rides up on that bike,
yeah,
I mean it's very goofy. And there's a scene where the clown, that one clown, I can't think of that one's name, but he's doing the puppet show.
With the bird, the dinosaur, or whatever.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is it's not just appearance. These things aren't just skulking about.
No, they're clowns.
They're clowns to every degree. It's just like, don't get near them because they'll fucking eat you.
Yeah. They're going to kill you, but they're clowns. Killer clowns.
Exactly. Yeah. So this movie works and it stands out from all the other movies that have come out, over the last 40, 50 years for that reason. But to get off topic of that, do you remember whenever your first exposure, whether it be, just through conversation, through text?
Killer Clowns?
Yeah, do you know whenever that would have been?
Oh, God. So probably... I couldn't even tell you, honestly.
I know.
I saw it forever ago.
Yeah.
I saw it back in, probably 2010. I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I remember, first seeing it, but, I didn't appreciate it to the level I appreciate it until, probably since we've known each other, 2017, 2018. Because there was a while, I don't want to say I got out of horror, because I've always watched horror, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is in my life now. But once I got back into it heavily and started watching and collecting, tapes and DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, I loved Killer Clowns.
Yeah.
So it's more of a newer love for me.
Yeah. And I can probably say the same. I'm sure that I was exposed to it a lot sooner than what I think, but my most recent, my oldest memory of it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, I can remember. Because you know what? I take that back. I do remember. So it was at Horror Hound 2018, the year we met Robert Englund, when you bought those posters that are in there on your wall.
Yeah.
We were looking at posters, and I was buying a poster to get signed by Tom Savini, and you were like, hey, when's the last time you watched Killer Clowns? And I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot about this movie. And I think I went and watched it after, so about 2 years ago was the last time I, rewatched it, and since then I've seen it, 10, 20 times. But, probably 2 years ago is when I really, it became part of my personality.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
And I don't really know how to word this properly, but as fun and as great of a movie as Killer Clowns is, to be honest, at its core, it's very basic.
Yeah.
It's just like alien invasions.
Yeah, here comes some clowns and they kill you all goofy
Because we do have our main characters, and our main characters,
I couldn't tell you their names.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you their names.
And I've seen this movie, I couldn't tell you how many times.
Yeah.
That's how not important they are. The movie, the star is the clowns, not the cast.
Well, obviously their characters are important to a degree.
Mike and Debbie.
Mike, Debbie, and Dave.
Yeah. Who's the cop? What is his name?
His name is Curtis, I think. Curtis Mooney.
Okay, Curtis Mooney, yeah. John Vernon, yeah.
Yeah. So,
rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. So, the movie starts, and Mike and Debbie are on, a date, and they see a comet go overhead, and they're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. That's when it crash lands.
Yeah. So,
poor doggo.
There's a few things prior to that, but the start with our heroes is they go check it out. They actually walk into it, and they think it's a circus tent, which, to be honest, if I wandered up on this fucking thing in the woods, I'd be like, did I just walk in on some Deliverance stuff, and I'd run away. I wouldn't go into this damn thing.
Well, so that's touchy. So now, so 2020 Dakota would be like, oh shit, where's my camera? I gotta film this for YouTube. But if I was living in the 80s at this time, like 1988, I would probably go in. Like, I would peek in. I would be curious. It depends on what time. If I had somebody with me, probably. But, I mean, you can't tell me if you didn't see, like, a big circus tent out in the woods, you wouldn't be like,
right.
And then get yourself killed. Which they escape.
Yeah.
You know, the first round. So.
Yeah. So Mike and Debbie are going through this spaceship that looks like a circus tent.
Yeah.
And they're a little tripped out by it.
It's like a fun house when they go in, essentially.
Yeah. And they go into this room that's got like cocoons of cotton candy.
I love the design of this so much.
Honestly, it's one of the best things because the clowns have a little gun and they'll shoot it and it wraps you up in cotton candy. You're surrounded in pink light. That's the effect of it. And you're wrapped up in a cotton candy cocoon.
Preserving you.
Exactly. And I've read a few things that say that this cotton candy actually liquefies you and then they drink you with that straw.
That's gross.
So Mike and Debbie see this, and they're like, holy shit, look at all this cotton candy. And then Debbie's freaked out by it, and Mike pulls at the cotton candy, and it shows a dude's face.
Yeah.
And then they hear one of the killer clowns coming in. So they go and hide, and they actually witness one of these killer clowns slurping like...
having a cotton candy smoothie.
Yeah, this cotton candy guy. And they're like, oh God, we got to get out of here. So they run away. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure they're chased. So they go to the police first. And that's where we meet our other main character, Dave. And Dave and Debbie are ex-boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the police officer, John Vernon, Curtis Mooney, he actually doesn't believe it. He just thinks that they're fucking around.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're full of shit.
Yeah, but Dave believes him. And, they go off and they look. And he's like... and at first, he doesn't believe him. He's like, you're joking. Because whenever they go back to the crash site of the spaceship, it's gone. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you're fucking around with me. And he's like, I'm not fucking with you, I swear.
Yeah.
And he arrests him. And then they drive up on, because it's like Makeout Point or something.
Yes, yeah.
And,
do those exist? I don't think, there's not one from our hometown, I don't think.
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, Harrington Lake, I remember, that's where I got my first kiss. And it was kind of a Lookout Point-esque.
So was that like, was your first, like, were you a girl or a boy?
What are you talking about?
Your first kiss, did it come from a girl or a boy?
It was a boy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess Big Lots parking lot was like my, like, not to get like
so
PG-13, but Big Lots parking lot is like was my hookup spot in high school.
Come on down to Danville, Kentucky.
Come to Big Lots parking lot.
Big Lots parking lot. That is
about
Makeout
halfway back towards the McDonald's, and Dakota from KillerCast got quite a bit of action back then. You fog the windows up, turn on a little Dirks Bentley, and just
there you go. God, you're killing me. It was Shania Twain for me, but anyway.
Yeah. I feel like a woman.
Anyway, Dave opens up the door, and it's filled with cotton candy.
Yeah.
And he believes Mike, and which first and foremost,
if I was a cop, I wouldn't fucking believe him.
No,
I'd be like, you're just a bunch of dick teenagers trying to screw with me.
He's like, there's clowns killing shit. And,
yeah, like, okay.
Yeah, whatever. In today's time, however, I don't think I would, second guess that, because...
Especially not 2020.
No, fuck
I would be like, all right, well, fuck me.
Anything's possible. Dead. I fully expected Godzilla to, erupt from the earth.
Yeah, the New Year's countdown.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Gojira!
Yeah. But, no, I was going to say, Mike's last name is Tobacco. That is
Tobacco?
Yeah, that is
Mike Tobacco.
Yeah, that is such a strange name, ain't it? Like,
that is
you
weird.
Don't hear that ever.
What's Debbie's last name?
Stone? I think so, yeah.
Debbie Stone, yeah.
But Dave believes him. I lost my train of thought there. And so then we are we're given a bunch of different cuts of the clowns just tearing shit up in town.
Yeah, they're just breaking shit
on
Main Street.
Yeah.
Just fucking it up.
They're going into stores, they're tearing shit off the stores, enjoying...
I forgot about the monkey thing. Is that not a thing? The gorilla, mascot standing outside the store?
It's, moving, and then the clown's like, oh shit, and he puts his stuff down and he starts doing it too.
Yeah. That's a really good scene.
Yeah, that is a good scene, and it's funny. See... these scenes where it focuses a lot on the monsters, which is the killer clowns, it gives the clowns a lot of personality. And because our characters are pretty bland, they're
pretty
pretty bland. They're your normal like 80s meatbags.
Yeah.
But they don't die, obviously.
Yeah.
But the clowns are all obviously the standout just because of the level of personality that they have, and it really comes across in these scenes because they do clowny stuff. They experience like human earthling stuff.
Yeah, and this obviously they did it on purpose, but without this scene, I think the movie might have sucked because it did a lot of character development for the clowns in such little time.
Yeah.
Like it explained like their personalities, and it did a good job of differentiating them as well. Like obviously they have different designs and different masks, but it gave them each a personality.
Yeah.
Like how they acted.
Exactly. And, most people I think would be taken aback by that because to an extent, what is a good horror villain? Well, you could go into a lot of detail about that. You could say, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, there's not a clearly defined way to write a good horror villain.
No, because there's so many. They differentiate so much because you got somebody who's bland. Not to say he doesn't have a backstory, but someone is bland and is, I don't want to say boring, but doesn't have as much of a personality as others like Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody like Chucky or Freddy that's, very vibrant.
Yeah. And I think, jumping on to Michael Myers real quick, I think the reason why Michael is such an interesting character is because he's not interesting. Mm-hmm. There's a level of mysteriousness there. Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is something I've heard a lot of out of critics and just people in general whenever it comes to horror monsters and villains is the moment that you fully show your bad guy, your monster, it ruins it. That's not the case here, but I understand that this is also not a full-fledged horror movie. It's a horror comedy.
This is different because...
Yeah, it's lighthearted.
When you have... Yeah, that and then, like, you don't really need that level of, like, realism with this. So, like Michael... Like, when they got into, like, Curse of Michael Myers and they started explaining his backstory, it ruins it. Because Michael's just supposed to be that serial killer in your neighborhood that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And you don't want that mythos behind it. But killer clowns, like, who gives a shit? They're just clowns.
Yeah.
Like, we're just having a good time over here,
Exactly.
Like, we'll shoot you with a ray gun and we're good.
Yeah. And so a lot is shown in these first few minutes of this movie to make the clowns more interesting. There's a few things that happens between here and there, but not enough to really mention. There's a few scenes, like I said, we said it earlier, where Shorty punches that guy's head off and everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And
let's talk about that. That's probably, I would say, probably my favorite kill of the movie. That or
really
the puppet.
Think so?
Just because I like it, because not only, it kind of has a subliminal message to it. Like, it doesn't matter what your size is, you can still whip somebody's ass. And that's what I love about him, because they don't take him seriously, and they're like, we're going to steal your bike, you little bitch. And then he literally decapitates him with a punch.
Yeah, and to be honest, whenever that big guy smashes his trike, and he, like, cries and stuff, and I'm like, are you fucking serious?
I was like, how often...
yeah, exactly. It's like, how often do you feel bad?
For a killer clown.
Not necessarily a killer clown, but a horror villain at that.
Yeah. It's so sad. It's like when Pee-wee lost his bike. You're like, oh, he loved that. And then you're like, all right, well, this guy's going to die. And I remember the first time I saw this kill, I was like, oh, he punched this guy's head off. Hell yeah, get him, Shorty.
So there is a scene where the clowns also come to Debbie's house after Dave takes her home.
Is this where the little guys come out?
Yes. Okay. So earlier in the movie, as Debbie and Mike are running away from the big top the first time, they actually get shot with like a popcorn gun, because that's apparently another thing. And this makes no sense. So
yeah, it's interesting.
I feel like the Kyoto brothers just sat down and was just like, does this work? Does this make sense?
Yeah, I feel like they were like, let's smoke a bowl, and then, let's figure out some weird shit.
Which, it worked, but there's a scene where they get shot in the back, and...
It implants.
Well, it doesn't implant it. It gets stuck to their clothes.
Yeah, the popcorn.
Yeah, and apparently these popcorn pieces are like fetuses, or like
almost like hand puppets.
Yeah,
but they're not. I believe that's how it was made.
I don't know how to say that, like, what these things are. I guess they're like eggs, larvae of the killer clowns, because it sprouts these, like, think of like a Jack-in-the-Box with a killer clown head on it. Like the springy bit. And it shoots out and they start attacking Debbie.
There's some ugly sons of bitches too.
Exactly. And it's like anything... I feel like they... What I'm trying to say is I feel like they sat down and was just like, fuck it, let's just come up with something crazy.
Yeah, like, let's go for it.
This movie throws you for a loop, because once you feel like you've seen it all, you see it again. You see something that's like, oh my god.
It just keeps building on the bullshit. And it's so good. Like,
yeah. And it works, After that, the killer clowns actually do capture her. And then they take her to their spaceship. So Mike and Dave have to work together to get her back. And long story short, obviously they do. But they get trapped on the airship, and the airship's about to take off.
Yeah.
And they have to escape. So they're running down this hallway, and they get caught into this room, and they get attacked for the most part. Like, they're about to get attacked.
Yeah.
And there's tons of clowns in here. And
I forgot about the big, like, fight scene.
Yeah.
Like the big, like, climax. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
we didn't even mention, like, so a very important plot point is the ice cream truck.
Yeah, there's this ice cream truck.
We completely forgot about that. They saved the day.
Yeah, there's this ice cream truck that's got a big clown head on it.
These two doofuses.
Yeah, and it's Mike's friends.
Yeah.
And so they go to help save Debbie too, and they get to that, like, quote unquote final boss battle.
Yeah.
And the leader, because from what I've read, this is the leader of the clowns. His name is Clownzilla.
Yeah.
And he drops down and he starts attacking the clown van, and we get a fake out death for the two friends in the ice cream truck.
The ice cream boys,
because Clownzilla,
they sacrificed themselves.
Yeah.
Sacrifice, quote
and
unquote.
I want to say that this is actually a really well done scene, because Clownzilla obviously is a guy in a suit. And whenever he's slamming the truck on top, it's shot in a way that it looks like it's actually going on. It doesn't look fake. And for an old movie like that is shot the way that it was, it looks good, because they didn't use... I mean, they obviously used some computer editing. But what I'm saying is they didn't use CGI, obviously. And whenever Clownzilla picks it up and throws it, it looks like a real van. They did a really good job making this prop.
Yeah, doing the miniatures and
exactly. Stuff. And so Mike and Debbie, they get away.
Yes.
Dave stays behind to fight Clownzilla. And there's... The only part that I will shit on this scene is Clownzilla actually does pick up Dave. And there's a scene, there's a part where you see the big clown hand, and it's like an animatronic, obviously. Like,
yes.
And but it looks good. It doesn't look out of place. It looks good. It looks good in the movie. And it actually picks up Dave. And whenever it picks up Dave, there's a scene where this guy is in this clown suit holding it looks like a Ken doll.
Yeah, so this reminds me a lot. You might not remember this, but the Wax Museum in Pigeon Forge. Okay. It used to be in Gatlinburg. They have this photo op experience where you can go up on this deck, and they take your family's picture, and then they Photoshop you into King Kong's hand on top of the Wax Museum. And it looks awful. Like, they cut, like, the top of your body and then your legs off and, like, paste them into King Kong's hands.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of that.
Yeah, it looks kind of goofy, but, I mean, for the time, it's the only part of this movie that I'm like, out of everything in this movie, out of everything in this movie,
That's the one thing.
That's the one scene where I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like what's going on?
And so anyway, Dave actually kills Clownzilla. And something I've left out, just because this is a quick recap, this is not scripted. And the way to kill the killer clowns, I'm sure you could shoot them to death, but the quickest way to kill them is to explode their nose. So keep that in mind if we have a clown invasion. I don't think it's the zombies that we got to worry about. I think it's the killer clowns.
Yeah, right for the nose, baby.
Yeah, right for the nose, bro.
You can just poke them, too. Like, you got a sharp number 2 pencil, hit them with a little dab, they're dead.
Exactly. So he shoots Clownzilla in the nose. It causes him to spin around, because whenever these clowns get shot in the nose, they don't just fall over dead. They explode.
Yeah, they make a big scene out of it.
Yeah.
They don't just go out.
Yeah. And Clownzilla, because he's so fucking big,
Starts going crazy.
he starts going crazy. And it essentially causes the whole ship to explode. And so we think Dave's dead. And a little clown car, because of course that's got to be in the movie, crashes down, and Dave gets out of the car, and he's like, I lived.
Yeah, I survived.
Yeah, and his two buddies,
Are there with him?
the two other guys, I can't think of their names.
Ice Cream Boys.
Yeah, they were in the back of somehow or another, they got in the back of the car.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can fit unlimited people in a clown car.
Of course. Yeah. And the movie actually ends there. And I don't want to say that it ends abruptly.
The clowns explode.
Yeah.
In the sky.
Yeah. And it just, the ending is not abrupt, but it feels abrupt in a way. And it ends with kind of like a what the fuck, because earlier on in the movie, there is a scene where the clowns just pelt this guy with pies.
Just burn him alive.
Yeah, and these pies are made of an unknown substance that's pretty much just acid, and it melts this guy down. So it actually ends with Dave, Mike, and Debbie getting hit in the face with pies.
Yeah, so it's like, did you melt your face off?
Did you melt yourself to death? Yeah. Obviously, it's just like a ha-ha.
It's like a gag, yeah.
Moment. But, like, if you want to talk, like, canonically with the movie, you're like, what the hell?
I don't remember. Does it freeze frame on them getting pied?
It does freeze frame. Okay. Yeah.
I thought so, but I wasn't for sure.
Yeah. So,
of course it did.
With that being said, great movie. We want it to have a sequel. I think a lot of people want it to have.
I would say at this point probably a remake.
Yeah.
Like Killer Clowns 2, like I don't think you could do a sequel successfully. And, a reboot would suck, but I think a reboot could be really good if it was in the right hands.
I sit here and I say that I am, and I think earlier I said that I'm not. See, I'm really on the fence about it. Like, I want it. I want more Killer Clowns. I really do. But it's like, how do you do this properly?
You know who I think... Let me look up their name before I say this.
Yeah, that's
carry
on. So, interestingly enough, Killer Clowns actually did have a planned sequel, but it's been in development hell for almost 30 years. I think Fox had one planned, and they've been kicking it around for a while because they actually own the rights to it. But whenever Disney bought Fox in 2019, Disney canceled it along with the other 200, I think, projects that they had planned as well. So, as of right now, Killer Klowns from Outer Space 2 is kind of sitting in the dark. The Kyoto brothers have said that they do want to do another one, and they're very open to doing another one. And you know what? I can't say I blame them. This is kind of like their claim to fame, because while they did work in other stuff, it wasn't. I don't think it was prominently enough to really for them to be a standout name, like John Carpenter, obviously.
Yeah.
I want to see more. I do. I know that I think Netflix is saying something about maybe doing it, rebooting it in some way.
They did add it to Netflix. It's been on there for a while now. So.
Yeah.
And I don't think they just did that randomly.
No.
Like they wanted to engage an audience. What I was going to say about a sequel or a remake, I don't know why. I've always thought this. Ruben Fleischer. And I know you don't know who that is.
No.
But I think he could direct it perfectly. He did Zombieland 2 Double Tap.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that style of Zombieland, but Killer Clowns.
That would work.
That would be great. He did Venom too, and he's making Uncharted.
Really?
Yeah. He did Tom Hardy Venom. He's directed it.
I didn't realize that.
And then he's doing Tom Holland Uncharted. But yeah, I think I think that style he brings to Zombieland and that
see
like
that.
that funny like comedy like horror.
Yeah.
I think it would be really the tones match well.
I know we've said it before. Modern comedy, horror comedy, is not
Hard to come by.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
it's kind of
there is some good examples, but
it's kind of starting to see a little bit of a resurgence, but not enough for it to matter. You know, back in the 80s, horror comedy was like good, and it wasn't cringy. I think that's why I don't like current horror comedy, is because it's cringy.
But the problem is it wasn't really considered horror comedy back then.
No.
Like, a lot of stuff we consider horror comedy now was horror back then. I consider Child's Play horror comedy, 100%.
You really think so?
I do not take Chucky seriously in the least bit. Maybe, like, after he got with Tiffany, sure, because he's, like, a little shithead. But, like, Child's Play 1 through 3, I think Chucky is a joke.
All right.
I mean, you could just fucking kick him and be done with it.
That's fair. It's been a while since I've watched them, so I can't...
I binge watched them all recently.
It's been a while since I've watched them. I can't sit here and openly say,
Chucky's
sure
a bitch.
or no. Huh?
Like, you can't just sit here and be like, yeah, Chucky's a bitch.
I mean, I think...
Like, don't get me wrong. If Chucky was in the room, he could probably slaughter me and I would die.
Yeah.
But, like, I really do. I think it's got a lot of comedy to it.
Yeah. I think
it's like Texas Chainsaw. I would call it dark comedy.
Yeah.
A super, super dark comedy, but it's funny.
So, I kind of alluded to it earlier, and I didn't say where the concept of Killer Klowns come from. Mm-hmm. I can't remember which brother it was that come up with it. I want to say it was Steven. But he was thinking of hypotheticals one night. Mm-hmm. And he was trying to think of ones that were kind of scary. I don't know if he was trying to come up with like a new movie idea. But for a guy who works in the business, I'm sure it had something to do with maybe coming up with a movie or a script. So what he come up with actually was driving up a mountain by himself late at night and looking to his left and being passed by a clown. And that's where Killer Klowns was born, because that was the concept. He took it to his brothers, and they were like, cool, but what if they were aliens?
Let's take it to the extreme.
Yeah. So they come up with this asinine idea for a movie, and it actually worked super well, obviously. And, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think more studios need to take chances like that.
Yeah.
I think they need...
don't, but they should.
No, they don't. And we've said it before, it's hard to,
it's hard for companies to justify taking a chance, especially this day and age with stuff like with theaters in the current state. Like, that's what worries me about the future of cinema. Like, if it doesn't get its shit back in gear, I'm kind of afraid that a lot of original movies and ideas are going to get shit on, because people don't want to take a chance on something that they have to release on demand. It's like a lot of people don't want to pay $20 to watch a movie for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's tricky.
So, a few little pieces of trivia.
Okay. Hit me with it.
So the first day of recording the music for this movie actually took place on Halloween of 1987.
Fun. Okay.
So the music to this, right?
Yeah, I love the Killer Klowns
It's pretty
soundtrack.
iconic. Another piece of trivia that goes along with that is, I can't think of the band's name that actually did the music for it. But they were not told anything about the movie. They were just told, hey, we need you to make a song about Killer Klowns from Outer Space. And they were like, okay. What? And so they wrote this song, and the song is pretty... it's almost just as iconic as the movie itself, because it's like, here, I'll do this. I'll insert a little clip of it here. All right, so you see what I mean? It's kind of interesting, and it's kind of funny in a way. It's very playful, but it's also metal at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense why it would go along with that. But
you don't expect it either, because it's like, oh, this song's happening, and then you're like, I gotta go YouTube this shit.
Exactly. The I said something about the speaking of music again. I said something about the Insane Clown Posse. Apparently, their genre of music is called horrorcore. I don't know what the hell that is. I've never heard of that.
Don't ask me.
But what I have written down here says horrorcore rap group The Insane Clown Posse sampled dialogue from this film for the staleness on their 2002 Joker's Card album. So
I'm just going to be honest. I've never seen a single. I've never seen or heard a single ICP song.
me neither.
I've had a Fago a time or two, but I've never heard a single ICP song, and that's crazy because I love Superhuman. But
yeah, it's funny because there was a lot of people that I knew in high school that actually liked Insane Clown Posse, and I genuinely don't understand
unfortunately,
why.
like there was this one guy, I won't say his name, but there was a guy I knew that wore ICP shirts probably 2 or 3 days a week. He's the same guy that got sent to like alternative school for getting a hand job at lunch, just under the table around all of us. I was at the table next to me, like enjoying my spicy chicken sandwich and hash browns.
And you look over and there's Dick.
And I didn't see it. I just heard about it.
Oh my God.
My friends were close, and he was just getting it.
Well,
But yeah, he likes ICP, or he did at the time, so that explains a lot.
yeah.
Which, I mean, props to him. I mean, hell yeah, I sure wasn't getting any of that. So, but just the fact that you don't care to do it at lunch,
That's disgusting.
it's gross.
Another interesting little piece of trivia that I found out while reading this is, so none of the brothers were actually in this movie, technically. But there was an alternative scene shot where they were supposed to be in the restaurant scene, and they were just supposed to be in the background eating dinner. That they were supposed to make a cameo is what I'm trying to say. Nobody would have known who they were probably, but
Yeah, but who doesn't want a cameo in their own shit?
exactly. I mean, if I was going to make a movie, I'd want to be in it.
Oh, hell yeah. We're pretty much the core cast of Nightfall.
Exactly. So I said that they're not in it technically, but in a way, Steven actually is. And so, I said earlier the name was Clownzilla for the leader. So he's got a few names. Clownzilla, King Clown, Killer Clown, I think is another one, which is pretty much what all of them's names are. But anyway, long story short, Steven actually, or I'm sorry, it wasn't Steven, it was Charles. That's what I have written down as Steven, but cross-checking myself, it's actually Charles.
Fair enough.
Charles was that one who actually played, who was in the suit for Clownzilla.
Oh, okay.
I would love, if I was going to make a movie, I would love to play the main villain.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, why would you not?
I would love to. That's a pretty big deal. Another piece of interesting trivia is the brothers actually designed, I think I said this already, they actually designed the designs of the clowns. And with that being said, the clowns had 5 base heads. Okay, so there was 5 different types of heads.
Yeah.
And we know all of them. We've seen them all. If you've seen this, go look them up, obviously, because the designs for these characters are great. And I mean that in a way that they look, obviously, clownish, obviously. But it looks like it flows. What I'm trying to say is the character design looks like it flows like they could actually be real creatures. Like it's seamless is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like they're wearing makeup is what I'm trying to say. And these 5 heads that the Chiodo brothers made, Kyoto brothers, however you say their name, they made multiple masks, and then they just put different stuff on them. And that's pretty evident because there's one clown that shares the same head as Shorty. There's another one that's like short, fat, and squatty. The 2 female clowns who kiss up on the 2 guys in the ice cream car.
Yeah.
Which, sidetrack, that is a funny ass scene because whenever they're sitting there, they're like, "Ooh, come here, boy!" Like they're not actually talking, but they're sitting there, and I didn't notice it until like my 3rd time. But their boobs actually like swell up. like
To
balloons.
impress the people.
Yeah,
Or to draw in the guys.
Yeah, and those guys are just like, hell yeah, and I'm like, ooh,
Look at them
God.
fat ass. I mean, they're two lonely dudes working in an ice cream truck. I get
Right.
it. That would be like me and Steven, walking around selling SpongeBob pops out of the back of his Ford Explorer. Like if we saw some hot clowns, we'd probably be into it too. So
You'd fuck a hot clown? The silence says yes.
I'd have to think about it.
You'd have to think about it.
Yeah, maybe in the moment I would probably just be like, all right, yeah, I guess.
Whatever. But what was I saying? Oh, we were talking about the masks. So they all share the same designs, and the clown girls in that actually share the same masks as two of the biggest ones that you see on the screen the most. Shorty, I think, is one, and then I can't think of the other guy's name. He's got the green hair that sticks out on his left and right side, and then on the very top, and wears yellow.
Oh, it's
And he's super.
That's the one with the pop, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Is it Spike?
I think it might be
Or
Spike.
Spiky or something.
Something like that. I don't have his pop, so I can't remember. I don't know the clowns by name per se, but
Hold on, I'll tell you.
okay. So yeah, that's most of the trivia that I found interesting about this, other than the body count of this was at least 40.
Do you mean the hair straight up and then off to the sides, or the spiky hair?
Hair straight up and then to the sides.
You do have that pop, because that's the San Diego comic, or the New York, San Diego, whatever. That is Slim.
Oh, okay.
And then there's Jumbo, who's the big one, who does the puppet.
Okay.
And then Shorty, and then Spiky is the other main one that does the balloon animals.
Okay, that's interesting.
I believe Spiky does the hand puppet as well.
Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say on this movie. We've kind of gone through it really quick. It's really hard to review a movie that is...
There's not much to review.
Yeah, there's not much to review about it.
There's a lot to talk about, but at the same time, like as good and as fun as this movie is, not a lot happens in it. Like,
well, I mean, yeah,
just a quick 80 minutes of fun.
Yeah, and again, I think what they did right was they gave the main villains a very interesting screen presence.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't keep them in the shadows. They weren't scared to use them, as I guess is what I should say.
Very upfront.
They were very upfront. I mean, the clowns were on screen within at least within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, with the farmer and his dog and whatever.
Yeah. And they weren't hidden. They weren't like in the shadows by any means, because this movie starts like immediately. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take its time to walk around. It doesn't. I guess what I'm trying to say, it introduces the plot, it introduces the villains, and it introduces the characters very efficiently to a degree within the first 10 minutes. It's not story heavy by any means.
No.
And this is very much a movie just to sit down and be like, "Ha, that's funny."
Yeah. We had a good time.
Another thing, to be honest, like, even though that this film, if you have kids, even though that this is a horror movie, it is a horror movie that I would not mind watching if I was a parent with younger kids. And whenever I say younger, I mean obviously like 8 and up. Yeah,
it's like, say it's like it's spooky season, and your kid's like, I want to watch a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, you probably shouldn't show him, I don't know.
Halloween, or not Halloween. Anything.
You probably shouldn't show them Friday the 13th.
Halloween, Friday the 13th. There's boobies.
But Killer Klowns it's fun.
Yeah, because there's no nudity, I don't think, in Killer Klowns.
No, and it doesn't. Like, I know a lot of people have clown phobias, but these are more like stylized, like, like cartoonish clowns.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really like play into that fear like It or Poltergeist does.
Yeah. They aren't by any means scary. They're just more goofy. Now, someone who's got really bad chlorophobia would probably scream and cry and shit. But
yeah, like, I don't have that, but like, if I saw these guys in public, I would most definitely give them a hug.
Of course.
It would suck if I died, but
of course,
worth it.
I think I'll look into maybe getting the masks. Killer Klowns is one of those...
I really want the shorty one.
Yeah. Killer Klowns is one of those things that I would love to have more of in terms of memorabilia. I've got 3 of the figures over there that they made back in like 2002, 2005, whatever year they come out.
I don't even know who the fuck made those.
No, I don't either. They were a convention exclusive though, from what I've read.
Yeah.
But they're also like $100 a piece. Some of them are, and I've got almost all of them.
The only new like Killer Clown toys is just the Pops.
Yeah,
and I think Funko killed it on them. They did really good.
Oh yeah, they did really good.
Yeah.
You know, we used to like Funko product, but now we've kind of turned away from that. And I'll sit here and
we haven't even. It's not necessarily that you're different. It's not that I don't like Pops anymore, because I still buy some Pops. I still buy horror and office Pops. But
yeah.
I don't even want to say matured, because I think pop collecting is still mature, because people go out and spend thousands of dollars on them. But I've matured into more detailed collectibles. Like I collect Hot Toys now. So
I would love if they made a 6-scale Killer Clown.
Oh hell yeah! I would buy it instantly.
I would shit my pants and buy 5.
Yeah, I've got. So the only horror I have Hannibal and I have Leatherface.
Mm-hmm.
I would love a Killer Clown. I'm not getting the Ghostface that comes out because it doesn't come with the voice changer, which I think is retarded.
That's stupid.
Yeah, like you're gonna make a $200 Ghostface figure and not have a voice changer.
Yeah.
And there's a really good Michael that's coming out, but I think they should make more 6-scale horror figures for sure.
Of course, yeah.
And there are some, but it's like shitty third-party companies that aren't that good.
Yeah.
Like if it's not distributed by Sideshow.
I'm pretty sure they make one of the Miner from My Bloody Valentine. I think I seen
Harry Ward?
Yeah, I think I seen one of them online the other day, but it didn't look like it was very good quality.
I have the NECA pre-ordered. I'm really excited for that.
It's not the NECA that I seen, but I want to say it was a 6-scale, and it was like $250, and I'm like, who the fuck would pay $250 for that? I paid $150 for that He-Man over there, and I wouldn't even pay that for that Harry Warden.
Yeah, no, I was like more than fine. I think I got the bundle. You got the big poster for pre-ordering, the steelbook, and the NECA figure for $65.
Yeah,
and I'm super excited about that.
That's not bad.
Yeah. But yeah, someone, if you're listening, I wish NECA would make Killer Clown figures.
NECA, please do it.
Yeah, like $35 a piece, $40. Like they make some great horror figures.
Yeah,
and I think they could kill Killer Clowns.
Oh yeah, definitely
do a really good job.
But yeah, we got off track there for a second. But definitely, like, give this movie a watch.
Toy Talk, baby.
Yeah, if you haven't watched this movie, 100% give it a watch.
It's on Netflix as of now.
Did you check?
I've looked it yet.
Okay,
that's why I rewatched it.
So it is on Netflix, and I'm almost certain it's also available on YouTube. I think, because I remember looking it up a while back and I seen it. I don't know if it's still there.
Or you can pretty much go to, I don't know if FYE is where you're at, or a Half Price Books, or a Game Exchange. You can find it for
DVD.
like $5.
Yeah, we went to FYE tonight. And
they had probably 25 copies for like $5.99.
And they put out so many steelbooks of that movie within the last few years.
Steelbooks are expensive.
Yeah, I bought mine for what, $5?
Yeah. So
and
when
it's
they
like
come
$50 now.
When they come out with that collection, I have the Carrie and the Child's Play one.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't get Killer Clowns. Maybe I never saw it, but those were like $9.99 at Walmart. And now they're all expensive.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I wish I would have bought them all.
Yeah, I wish I had the whole series.
I think I've got Night of the Living Dead down there, too.
Yeah, that's a really nice art series. I like
those
a lot.
It is. But yeah, definitely this is a family-friendly, to a degree, obviously. Use your best judgment, Mom and Dad. Don't come yelling at me whenever...
Those damn KillerCast boys told me I could watch Killer Clowns with my kids, and they're out here shooting popcorn at me.
Exactly. Don't come yelling at me if you make a bad decision. Obviously, use your best judgment.
Yeah.
But yeah, give this movie a watch if you haven't. It's good for all ages, in my opinion.
I think this would be a really fun date night movie.
It would be, and it's a good like group movie
or
too.
like Friends, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I would love to dress up as one for Halloween.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, I could be Jumbo, you could be Shorty, Steven could be Spiky, Chase could be whoever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we could pull it off. For
exactly.
Sure. KillerCast, yeah. That's another thing you were saying, like, how, like, watchable it is with Friends.
Yeah.
If they were re-released Killer Clowns back in theaters, 100% would go see it.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
I have, like, a weird obsession, which I say a lot of people do, with seeing old horror movies in theaters again. Like, I about cried watching The Shining in theaters. Like, I don't know why, but if Killer Clowns came back, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see it in theaters.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say about this. Do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, go give it a watch. It's fun.
Yeah, give it a watch, man.
Yeah.
So personally, let's go ahead and do the rating since that's something that we've started.
Yeah.
Recently.
So, are we doing like point whatever, or are we trying to stick to solid numbers?
Okay, let's do a 0.5. So it's either
So
it's
no,
either a
no 0.25.
Exactly. It's either a 3.5 or a 4 or a 3. Like
Okay.
there's no middle
No
ground there.
2.5s, no 7.5s.
So even though I highly praise this movie, I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
God damn it!
Why?
Why are you stealing my score?
Oh, you wanted to give it that too?
I'm not going to. I don't want to have the same scores.
Well, let me explain why.
Yeah.
And then you can explain why. Okay. So it's great in character design. It's great in the comedy aspect of it, which is really hard to pull off sometimes. But it lacks in character for the actual character
for the protagonist.
For the protagonists, they're very like cut and dry, very bland. Debbie is a very bland protagonist. Dave is a very bland protagonist, and so is Mike.
Mike is the only one that somewhat shows character.
Yeah,
and that's not much.
Yeah, and it's not a whole lot. I mean, Dave to a degree too, because Debbie and him used to be together, and at the end of the movie, it's kind of, I think, pretty much said that they get back together.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, but
yeah, fuck off, Mike.
Yeah. So I give it that score because of character design, set design. But I take points away for shitty characters, shitty protagonists, and I take away points for not a very, very in-depth story. But you can crucify me for this. I don't care. But Cody, it doesn't have to have a good story. Yeah, but it is what it is, and that's just my opinion. By no means do I think that this is a perfect movie. If every movie was perfect, there would be no reason for us to have this podcast.
Yeah, we'd run out of golden stars.
Exactly. So go ahead and explain why you think it deserves a 3.5 and not a 5.
Yeah, so I was gonna change just to be different, but I mean, I was thinking on the way when I was coming to your house.
3.51.
No. 3.5 is what I've been thinking. That's why I asked about the decimal system. Because I was going to give it a 3 if not. And like you said, it's pretty much the exact same points you made, but I'll reiterate. The set design is amazing. And that gets it the 3 stars automatically for me. And the design of the clowns, but the characters suck. The protagonists are not any good. They're just essentially there so the killer clowns have something to do. You have somebody to like root for to survive, but honestly, I kind of wanted the clowns to kill him.
Yeah, and to be honest, they kind of just run around the whole movie, and they're like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, there's nothing happening. The clowns are the stars
until like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, but
which to be fair, we say the clowns are the stars. I think that's kind of the point.
Oh, I mean, obviously, like Michael Myers is the star of every Halloween movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 3.5 is a very fair score.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun 80s comedy, a horror comedy.
Yeah, because
it's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, if I was going to say it was average and it's like, don't worry about watching it, I'd give it a 2. This movie is above average.
Yeah, it deserves like a B rating.
Yeah,
like definitely. It's a lot of fun.
And it's one of those movies that, if you're going to if you're going to dip your toe into horror,
this is a good entry into 80s horror, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It is, because it gives you that level of zaniness that's in a lot of horror, because this came out in a time where a lot of people experimented with different things. They tossed ideas around to see if it worked.
Yeah.
Killer Clowns happened to work. And, there was plenty of other movies that come out around the same time that didn't work. We listed it off a bunch just, at the start of this episode. And to be fair, most of those did work, but
The Return of Michael Myers, baby, the same year.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. The concept of Killer Clowns is interesting. I wish more studios
would take a chance.
That's probably something that you're going to hear come out of my mouth and Dakota's mouth over and over and over.
We're going to drive home our point until somebody makes a Killer Clowns reboot.
But I think that'll about cover it for tonight, guys.
Yeah, so Killer Klowns gets a 7 out of 10.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
7 out of 10.
Congratulations, KillerCast. You've received a B from... Wait, I said that wrong. Congratulations, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. You have received a B from KillerCast. What is that? Okay, so let's talk about this real quick.
It's a passing grade.
Yeah. So gold only goes to 10 out of 10, right?
Sure.
We'll say 7 through 9 is silver.
Silver.
And then...
Everything else is...
We can't... No, it can't be 1 through 6.
We'll iron it out later.
Yeah, we'll iron it out later, but just know Killer Klowns gets a silver medal. The B, a 7 out of 10. Congratulations. You didn't do too bad. There's going to be lower than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're no freaky, but...
And we sit here and we say that. Let me look up the IMDb on this real quick, because I'm pretty sure...
I prefer Rotten Tomatoes, but...
Well, that's fine. I think it pulls from Rotten Tomatoes for the IMDb. So, take a guess what you think it got out of 10.
On IMDb?
Yeah.
6.5.
6.2. So
Damn it, son of a bitch.
Yeah, so we're pretty on par with what most people think. The Metascore for it is a 43.
Hold on, let me guess Rotten Tomatoes. 58%.
Let me check. I'm not really sure, but that actually sounds pretty spot on. What was it again?
I said 58.
58? Let's see. Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes. It got a 75%.
Audience or critics?
Critics. Audience only gave it a 59%.
Damn.
So most people don't like this movie. That's really odd.
Fans are weird. Like it's great. That's one of the few movies that critics is ahead of fans, and we don't have to shit on the critics because they didn't shit on this movie.
Well, I think a lot of people too. They don't understand what Killer Klowns was trying to do.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people look at this and they're like, "What the fuck is this dumb shit?"
Yeah, especially with it being on Netflix, I feel like a lot of people, because we're still, I'd say there's still an it craze out there.
Yeah.
For Pennywise, you still see a lot of Pennywise everywhere, and people are like, "Oh, a clown movie," and they're like, "Oh, what is this shit? This is no Andy Muschietti It Chapter 1 and 2." Like, no shit, it's not. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You want to watch that? Go watch it. I guarantee I'll give you the Blu-ray if you're gonna bitch about it. Got like 6 copies.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's gonna do us for the Killer Klowns edition of KillerCast.
Yeah.
This has been Dakota.
And this is Cody.
We are signing off. Stay away from Killer Klowns. And be careful when you eat that cotton candy. You never know when a human smoothie is going to be inside.
Exactly. And guys, please, if you see a big top circus in the mountains at like midnight, turn the other way and run.
No, fuck it. Go inside.
Go inside.
Have a good time.
This has been Cody.
And Dakota.
You all be kind and rewind.
Thank you all.